In the latter half of the last century, Volkswagen had established themselves as the maker of the people's car, providing vehicles that just made sense for everyday human beings. Now, particularly in the last decade, the company has had to shift their focus and reset themselves as the maker of the people's SUV, bringing vehicles like the expensive and complicated Touareg, designed for Europe, over to the United States. Now, you can debate how successful any of Volkswagen's past people movers have been in America, but you can't deny that we love our value-oriented, entry-level SUVs. Up until about 4 years ago, that vehicle in Volkswagen's lineup simply didn't exist. But in 2001, the pint-sized Taos was introduced. It was Volkswagen's answer to the very popular Subaru Crosstrek, and for 2025, the Taos gets its first round of updates, including new styling on the outside, upgraded technology on the inside, and more power under the hood for its turbocharged engine. I'm Rob, filling in for Sophion, and today Volkswagen's brought me out just north of beautiful San Antonio, Texas to get behind the wheel of the refreshed Taos, and the big question I want answered, has VW made enough changes to the small SUV to keep it competitive on the premium side of the segment? Stay tuned to find out. Starting out underneath the hood of this refreshed Taos, the engine block itself is actually the same unit. It's a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine. However, it now makes more horsepower. We've got 174 horsepower and still 184 pound-feet of torque. That's going to be the same output throughout every trim level of the Taos. The big news here, and that's a big change that a lot of people complained about in the last generation, is the transmission has been replaced. It used to be a 7-speed dual clutch, and that unit was a little bit clunky and a little bit coarse at times. I know Sophion had some comments on it as well. I'll let him share his changes, his ideas on the changes when he gets this back in York, but it has been replaced by an 8-speed automatic traditional torque converter automatic transmission. 4Motion all-wheel drive is going to be available across the entire trim lineup. It is going to be a standard on the SEL, like my tester right here is. It's able to provide 50% of its torque to the rear of the vehicle. And speaking of that all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive difference, when it comes to fuel economy, there's actually a big difference here. The all-wheel drive model, like this one right here, gets 25 in the city and 33 on the highway for a combined 28 miles per gallon. The front-wheel drive models, however, will get up to 28 in the city and 36 on the highway for a combined 31 miles per gallon. It's a 3 mpg difference just from all-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive, which is pretty significant. However, we are still going to look at 400 miles of range regardless of your drivetrain layout, and that's because this all-wheel drive model has a 14.5 gallon gas tank, whereas the front-wheel drives only have a 13.2 gallon. I'm not really sure why they made that 0.7 of a gallon difference, but the range does come out to be the same regardless. 0 to 60 times for this all-wheel drive model should be in the mid 7-second range. I would imagine the front-wheel drive is going to be slightly faster because it's actually a little bit lighter. This vehicle right here is 3,400 pounds roughly, and a front-wheel drive model is going to be just over 3,200 pounds. So you actually have a more than 200 pound weight delta. Towing capacity is going to be 1,500 pounds. Top speed is going to be 125 miles per hour. Okay. Seriously, go away, go away, go away. So as we close the hood and start looking at the styling of the refreshed Taos, you can see that I'm joined by a few of my newest fans here. They've been quacking quite loudly, and I'm not sure if they're complaining about me or they're complimentary of the refreshed styling on this refreshed Taos. You can see this color right here is one of the new options. It's called Monterey Blue Pearl. It's actually a really nice subdued blue. Not a lot of metallic in it, but it's almost like a dusty blue. It looks really good in the sunlight here with the lake in the background. There's two other new colors as well. The bright moss green, which you probably saw in our first look of this video. It's a bright green, really electric looking. Volkswagen is doing a good job managing their colors lately and putting things out there that are a little bit more exciting than most brands. There's also a new Monument Gray. So, you know, gray is a gray. It can look good, it can look bad. Some people are fans of subdued colors and it can work. Looking at the actual styling changes here, though, there's a lot of updates here in the front. All the models here are going to come with LED projector headlights. You have LED DRLs, and you also have all-weather lights. So there's no fog lights down there, but you can see there are all-weather adaptive lights. The AFS system, the adaptive front lighting system, is going to be on every model except for the S model. That basically helps with cornering and that sort of stuff. There's also going to be this front light bar that is new. That's going to be standard on the SE Black and this SEL model as well. The width of this model has not changed. It's 72.5 inches wide. That's just a little bit bigger than competitors in the segment like the Crosstrek, the HR-V, and the Corolla Cross. Approach angle of this model is 19.7. I know that's not something we normally talk about. However, you can actually see that the front-wheel drive model is going to be a little bit lower with a 17.5 degree approach angle, and that's because we'll talk about as we get around the side profile here that the all-wheel drive model actually has more ground clearance. Total length of the refreshed Taos has not changed. It's still 175.9 inches longer, so slightly bigger than some of its competitors in the segment. Wheelbase is actually this is interesting. It's 105.5 inches for this all-wheel drive 4Motion model. The spec sheet said that the front-wheel drive models are actually a little bit longer wheelbase at 105.9. I have no idea why that is, so if you know, go ahead and let me know. Maybe it has something to do with the suspension geometry since it has more ground clearance. Looking at the wheels and tires and brakes, the brakes are going to be the same between all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, and the different trims. It's a 12.3 inch disc up front that's ventilated. In the rear, it's a 10.7 inch. It's a solid disc. There's a lot of wheel options on the refreshed Taos, starting all the way at the base S with a 17-inch alloy finish for the front-wheel drive model. There's also an 18-inch 5-spoke alloy for the all-wheel drive model in the S trim. The SE comes standard with those 18-inch 5-spoke alloys. There is an 18-inch black finish option for the SE that's $395. The SE Black trim comes with 18-inch black finish wheels for the front-wheel drive as standard and a 19-inch black finish for the all-wheel drive as standard. There is an optional alloy wheel for the SEL for $395 as well. This SEL that I'm showing you right now actually comes standard with those same 19-inch black finished wheels. The tires on the SEL are going to be a 235 45 by 19 all-season tire. All the tires on every trim level and drivetrain of the Taos is going to be an all-season tire. Moving back a little bit here, as I said, you can see the all-wheel drive ground clearance is 7.6 inches, only 6.5 inches on front-wheel drive model. So I don't think you're going to be taking this too far off the beaten path. You can see right here at the bottom of this lake bed with some gravel is probably the most off-roading you're going to see in this vehicle. But there are a couple of drive modes we'll talk about in the interior that actually will help you if you do go off the road. Moonroofs are going to be optional on the SE, standard on the SE Black and the SEL. You can see it's a full panoramic sunroof. Actually, that's a lot of light in the interior, which is nice. It is a $1,200 option if you want to spec that in as an option if it's not going to be standard on the model that you get. Moving to the rear of the refreshed Taos, you can see this Monterey Blue Pearl in the direct sunlight really is beautiful. I really like this blue a lot. Bright blues are fun, but this is something that's a little bit more understated and a little more handsome in my opinion. You can see the rear taillights have been completely redone. They are full LED. You have an LED turn signal, LED brake lights, LED reverse lights, and you have this LED light bar that goes across the entire back as well. That's going to be standard on all trims. These fake exhaust outlets, I'm not a fan of them. I know Sophian's not a fan of them as well. On this particular SEL, they are chrome outlined. On the black trims, they're going to be a black outline. I think they look kind of silly because the actual exhaust is tucked underneath there, but that's fine. It flows pretty well with the rest of the styling back here, I would say. Departure angle in the back here, 25 degrees for the front-wheel drive, 25.8 for the all-wheel drive. I didn't mention it earlier, but if you're interested in the breakover angle, it's going to be 18.2 and 20.4 respectively for the two different drivetrains. There is no power hatch available on the Taos. That's not something that you really see in this segment, but you can go ahead and open it up. As I'm doing that, you can also see barely that VW logo is actually illuminated, which is nice, and that's new for this year as well. So when you open up the hatch here, cargo area, this is going to vary a little bit between the drivetrains. This all-wheel drive model is going to have 24.9 cubic feet of space. A front-wheel drive model is actually going to have more. It's going to have 27.9 cubic feet. Folding down the seats, this all-wheel drive model actually has 60.2 cubic feet. The front-wheel drives will have 65.9, so almost 66 cubic feet in the front-wheel drive model when you fold the rear seats down. You can see there is a good amount of a lip there, so it's definitely not completely flat. Not only the angle of the seat isn't flat, but you have that lip that can get in the way. But that can help separate your cargo if you do have small items that are rolling around here in the back, I suppose. Looking underneath this rear load area here, you can see there is a temporary spare tire. Not much as far as storage here. There's maybe a little couple areas for your jack and your stands, maybe a little bit small stuff over here. So definitely a usable trunk area, plenty of width as well, and the lift over is actually pretty low, which is kind of nice. So I think this is definitely competitive in the segment as far as space, styling, and features. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into the interior of this refreshed Taos. First thing is the key fob. Nothing's changed with the key fob here. You have your standard functions, lock, unlock. You can pop the back hatch. It's not going to power open. Like I said, it's not a power lift gate. And you can remote start this as well. The back of it just has the Volkswagen logo. You're going to have this keyless entry system on all models except for the S. The base S is not going to have that. You're actually going to have to use your fingers to unlock and lock the door. So as you can see right here, there's something on the back of the panel, but there's a button right there. So if you hit that, the car will lock. The mirrors are not folding. However, they do have your blind spot monitor on there, and they're finished with the paint color of the car. It's pretty nice. When you open up the door here, after you unlock it again, you're going to notice that my SEL has the two-toned interior. You're going to have a couple different color options for your seats. The base models are going to have a cloth seat that's only going to be a black or a black and gray mix. The SE and SE black trims are going to come with a fake leather. It's called Cloud Tex plus cloth mixture. It looks pretty decent. This SEL is going to come standard with a full actual real leather interior. This two-tone, like I said, looks pretty nice, especially with the exterior color with this Monterey blue pearl with the two mixed gray and black interior. There's also a new blue color leather, which actually looks really sharp. It's dark blue, so you have to get it in the right light to really appreciate it, but it's a really, really nice color. You can also get a black color as well with the SEL trim. These seats are a 6-way manual on the base trim. However, everything up from that is going to be an 8-way power with a power lumbar adjustment. Heated seats are going to be standard on the S all-wheel drive models and up, so everything except for that front-wheel drive S is going to have a heated front seat. You also are going to get ventilated seats on this SEL. It's the only trim to get it. So the ventilated seats actually work pretty well. The temperature in Texas has been weird. It started off 32 degrees today, but it's already climbing into the 70s, and we had them on for a bit. They work really nicely. Door panels here also has that stitching in leather that's brought over. You have a really nice material right here at the bottom here for where your arm is going to rest. Same thing here with the stitching. Soft touch up here as well. The door handles are plastic, but you know, this is not a high-end trim model, or a high-end in the Volkswagen hierarchy as far as their SUVs at least. The switches feel pretty high quality. They are one touch up and down for all four, which is nice. You have a little bit of storage here at the bottom of the door panel as well. Let's go ahead and step inside the vehicle. I am much taller than Sophion. However, the step in actually feels like you have to get down just a little bit here. Again, 7.6 inches of ground clearance is not a lot, but it's a comfortable step in. I'll close the door, and there's a water bottle, of course. Why would there not be a water bottle? Let's try it again. Sounds really good. Sounds solid. Again, I'll let Sophion share his professional feelings of sound on the door thunk when he gets one of these in York. Coming to the car here, the start-stop button is down here. Volkswagen puts it by the shifter. And you hear a traditional startup noise with the traditional Volkswagen ding. Again, this is not a hybrid. No hybrid option is available here in the States, so you're gonna have a traditional starter sound. And you're gonna be greeted by this 10.25-inch digital display. The S model will be the only model that has a 8-inch display. It is still digital, but it's much smaller. This 10.25-inch display is customizable. If you hit this view button right here, you can do things like make your map the entire display. You can give yourself a little bit more of a not traditional look with your map in the middle. You can also hit it again and go back to your standard dials. You do have a temperature gauge for your coolant on the left and gas on the right. Pretty easy display to read as you're driving and make out quick pertinent information. There is no heads-up display on this model. While we're up here, let's talk about the rest of the materials. It is a hard touch up here, but it's not a cheap feeling one. You're not going to be touching the dash very often. But when you come down here, you do have piano black plastic. This piano black plastic is going to be black on the black trims as well. The black model is actually going to give you black exhaust tips. It's going to give you black finishing for the door sills and a couple other black features on the exterior, but the only interior one of the door sills and that right there. This infotainment screen, 8 inches, and I know that may not seem big, but it actually is on the larger side for this segment. Things like the HR-V have a 7-inch The Corolla Cross has an 8-inch. The only one with really a bigger one in this segment is going to be the Subaru Crosstrek that has that vertical layout that's going to be a couple inches bigger. Hitting the upside down volume button, which Volkswagen has always done a rotating volume button. Turn that down. You can see this is where our navigation screen is going to be. Hit the menu button here. This is where you see all of your different widgets for the vehicle. The system works pretty well. It's quick and snappy. I have not had any lag issues. It's really just the size. It works pretty well in the rest of this interior, but you can see there's this huge bezel that goes all the way around the rest of it. I mean, you've got a solid 1.5 inches over here, 1.5 inches over here. And I think a 9-inch screen would look better. It would fit better in the premiumness of this interior. I mean, if you take a look back and see, everything in here really is pretty nice looking, and it fits pretty well, but I think a 1-inch bigger screen would work pretty well, I think. Coming down here, you have traditional vents for your HVAC system. The HVAC controls are pretty nice, touch capacitive, so heated seats and ventilated seats. Again, if you just touch it, you don't get any sound or feedback as far as vibrations. You only get the LED lights, which we're not going to leave the heated seats on. The temperature control down here, you can do one of two things. You can either slide it and make big changes, or you can hit individually and change them one at a time. Fan speed, same thing, up and down, which is it's kind of nice. It's futuristic. Underneath, we have two USB-Cs, a traditional cigarette lighter outlet down here, which for some reason I can't get open. You do have a wireless phone charger as well. That's going to be standard on all models except for the S and the SE, I believe. Traditional shifter down here, park, reverse, trigger on the front, pull that back one, and you've got your reverse camera right there. It does have trajectory and it has distance markers. The quality is okay. Again, for the segment, it's pretty standard stuff here. It does its job. You also have a manual mode for the transmission if you want to go into sport, and you can go over, so you can select your gears yourself by doing that. Put it back in park. You have an electronic parking brake, auto start, stop, defeat, your parking sensors on and off. There are a couple dead buttons in here as well, which I know for other markets they may be used. There's a drive mode selector here as well. You have your different modes here, which if you change it, you can see up top, you have your driving snow mode, you have your driving mode on the road, and if you go to there, you have your eco, normal, sport, and custom. So you have some more customization within each drive mode. The off-road mode is interesting here. If you do that, hit information, you can actually change all your different off-road settings. Actually, you do have hill descent control, hill start assist. You can change the way the all-wheel drive system works off-road as well. So you do a lot of customization. In the last mode here, let's see, go back to the main screen, is your driving off-road custom. So you can actually set what you want your driving off-road custom settings to be with that little star, or you can just use the standard ones right there if you want. And if you hit the button, that is going to be your home button for wherever you are, which is kind of nice. You have two cup holders down here, a little bit of storage. The stitching continues with a relatively nice padded center console. Open that up. It's a little bit narrow, but it's very deep, so you could put a lot of stuff in there, but I don't see any lights or other USB outlets, unfortunately. The steering wheel of the vehicle is pretty nice. You have actual real traditional buttons on here, which is great for your volume control, your adaptive cruise control, your heated steering wheel. The stereo on this vehicle is actually kind of basic. This SEL has a 6-speaker system, but it's the upgraded system. The only other option is a 4-speaker system. So if you're an audiophile, the Taos is probably not the best choice for you. Coming back to the infotainment system for just a moment here, there's a new feature in here called Volkswagen CarNet, which gives you a couple different accessibility options. You can do things like a hotspot, you can connect your Amazon, you can set it up to remote start your vehicle, you can do things where you can have Alexa start your car or Alexa honk your horn or something like that, but it is something that you have to subscribe to. It is going to be free for a while though. This SEL model also has a 10-color ambient lighting system. So if you go into vehicle, settings, ambient lighting. So once again, it does change based on your drive mode selection, but you can come down here and go into manual and you can pick any of these 10 colors. So unfortunately, with it being so bright right here, you're not really gonna be able to see it too well. A couple other features that you're gonna get in the different trim levels. Standard is going to be the leatherette on this heated wheel. So again, the heated wheel and the fact that it's a leatherette is standard, even on the base S model. You're also gonna get standard auto headlights and rain sensing wipers, which is kind of nice. Even on the base S model, the SE is going to bring things up to give you dual zone HVAC systems. As I said, the heated seats, but you can get that on the S is if it's all-wheel drive. The 8-way power driver's seat, auto-dimming rear-view mirror. You also have heated mirrors and heated headlight or windshield washer fluid nozzles, rather, he tried to say, and tint on the rear glass there. The SEL model is also going to give you those ventilated seats. As far as safety features, you have 6 standard airbags in here. There's a post-collision braking system, so that if you do get into an accident and the driver is knocked out, it's going to stop the car, so it's not going to roll away by itself and hit something else. Also, if you do get into an accident, Volkswagen is going to do things like turn off the fuel pump, unlock the doors, turn on the hazards for you by itself. Volkswagen IQ Drive is going to be standard as well. That gives you things like lane centering and low speed object detection. That works through a radar and a camera. There is a travel assist semi-autonomous system that allows things like adaptive cruise control with full speed follow and full speed adaptive range rather. Forward collision warning and braking with pedestrian detection. You have those blind spot monitors in the mirrors that I talked about. Rear traffic alert. So the interior of the refreshed Taos is really centered around that infotainment screen, which is a good improvement from the last one. It feels premium, it feels upscale in here, especially to the other competitors in the segment. But I think that if they really made that infotainment 1 inch bigger, it would help bring this interior together nicely. The seats, as I said earlier, they are very, very good looking, and they're also comfortable, to be honest with you. I really think that for an entry-level SUV model, they've done a great job with this. The light coming in from that pano moonroof is also excellent. It really does fill the cabin nicely. If you want, you can use the shade in here. Hit the wrong button there. You can see that the shade will come all the way. I'm not going to wait all the way for it to come back. However, you can also open the roof, which is a dying breed these days. Let's see how far back it goes. I know some models or some brands like to just do a standard non-moving roof. Oh wow, that's actually a lot. It's tough for you to see because the sun's kind of right in the shot. Sorry about that, but it actually opens up beyond the back seats or back headrests here. So into the back seats, rather, he tried to say. We'll take a look at the rear seats really quickly. Not much has changed back here. You still have the same seating surfaces though, so that really nice leather, real leather with the two-tone on there. Door panel materials here is still just soft touch down here. You don't have the stitching, but it is still soft touch. A little bit hard and scratchy up here on the top though. Storage down here on the bottom. Nicely finished car mats, or floor mats rather. When you get in here, you can see you have 37.9 rather, he tried to say, inches of legroom. I can get back here. This is my seating position, and I got about 2 or 3 inches right here. Crossing my legs like Sophia normally likes to do is doable. Ugh, old and decrepit. But I probably have to be poking the driver's shoulder here with my foot, given I am 6'1", 6'2" on a good day. You have features down here. You have a feature, one USB outlet, C, and you do have air vents, so I guess not all models in this segment actually give you rear seat air vents, which is nice. You don't have any sun blockers over here, but you do have LED lighting up top, which is nice. As I said, that pano roof does come all the way to the back here, which is pretty wonderful to give yourself light. Headroom, if I sit all the way back here, I'm good. I actually probably have 1 inch to spare, which is not too bad. Width-wise, I don't think you could really fit 3 people comfortably back here. In a pinch, maybe you could. You do have a pretty big center tunnel cut out for the drive shaft here for the rear one, since it is a mechanical linkage. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so finally behind the wheel of the refreshed 2025 VW Taos. We are in San Antonio, Texas, and they found this really beautiful lake area for us to film at. As you saw, it was desolate except for our furry friends with the beaks. The road quality here in Texas is a little bit on the rough side. We were noticing earlier driving on the highway that the road noise is really the only thing coming into this cabin, because as we said, Volkswagen has done a good job keeping this car relatively premium for the segment, especially when you're looking at things like the Crosstrek, the HRV, the Corolla Cross, the smaller Chevys and things like that. It definitely is on the high end of the segment, except for this smaller screen. It feels smaller, but again, 8 inches in the segment is pretty standard. We're going to get this vehicle out on a little bit higher road here and see how this higher speed road rather, and see how this new 8-speed rather transmission does. As I said, the DCT in the previous pre-refresh model, it gained a lot of complaints from automotive journalists. I know Sofyan spent a good amount of time in the vehicle, and he had a couple of things to say about it. So pulling right out of this park here, we've got a little bit of a straightaway. Let's see how this car feels acceleration-wise. I don't have our Racebox 0 to 60 timer, unfortunately, so Sofyan will test that. We'll brake torque it. We'll make sure that we are in street mode. Let's give it a shot. shifts are honestly okay. They're a little slow. It does actually push it all the way to about 6,800 on the tachometer, though. I was surprised. Usually these will short shift a little bit. Feels like a mid-second car. Again, we'll get that data for you. Going around some of these corners, it is a premium sporty feel. It feels confident. It feels like you are not going to get yourself in a situation that you're going to be upset about. It doesn't feel big. I know driving something like the Atlas, you really feel like you're driving a big honker, almost like a Suburban sometimes, but the Taos definitely has a smaller feel. Put my foot down on the corner. 4-motion all-wheel drive system does just fine. Remember, it can deliver up to 50% of the power to the rear wheels. Not that you really need it in a situation like that. You're not going to lose traction on dry pavement out here with this much power, but off-road you may be able to use it. Now, given we do have the roof open here, let's go ahead and close that up so we can talk a little bit more about the sound, because I do appreciate the fact that you don't really hear much wind noise once this is closed finally. There we go. It really is just the street noise from these tires. They're typical all-season tires. It's going to be pretty the same as everything else in the segment. Observed fuel economy. We've only been driving this car for a little over 40 miles. We're actually showing 31.2 miles per gallon. That's actually pretty darn good. We were in some stop-and-go traffic earlier, and I've done a couple acceleration runs. I think that the new transmission is going to make a difference for people who really had a problem with the old one, but if you take the average consumer and have them drive the two back-to-back, they may not notice a huge difference, but I think that it's enough that they made the change, seeing as how it was a complaint from a lot of people in the past. Visibility in the refreshed Taos hasn't changed from the pre-refreshed model. I do appreciate that the A-pillar is actually pretty thin. I like the fact that you don't lose any cars in it. The mirrors are huge. You have the blind spot indicator in them as well, so visibility all around this car is really nice. It almost gives you Subaru vibes with how well you can see out of it. The seats are super comfortable. I do want to make a correction that I said earlier. I said that the passenger seat was a power seat. It is not. It is a manually adjustable seat. So even the SEL top of the line here only gives you power seats on the drivers, but they're super comfortable. Wider framed Americans could fit in here just fine, but me, an average sized person, I get enough side bolsters when I'm going back and forth here. Ooh, hello, 911. My bolsters would not be as nice as that car, and I'm not going to be driving nearly as sporty as well. So overall, I think the refresh has done what it needs to. It's going to keep this car competitive and relevant in the premium side of the segment. Oh, hello. What the f***?
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Well, there, we off-roaded for a foot or two, and the suspension handled it just fine. So for those of you all looking to get your hands on this refreshed 2025 Taos, we were told that they should be shipping about the same time you're watching this video, arriving on dealer lots about the second half of December. Pricing for the base front-wheel drive S model will be $24,995, which is $1,000 more than the 2024 model, ranging all the way up to $34,695 for an SEL model, which is an $1,180 delta from the 2024 it replaces. All models will also carry a $1,425 delivery charge. And the model I'm showing you here also includes a $395 charge for the black finish wheels, for a total as-tested price of $36,515. So a big thank you to Volkswagen for allowing me to come out here and replace with Sofyan, and of course thank you guys for putting it with me instead of Sofyan. He's going to get this vehicle back in New York probably in a couple weeks to get you his thoughts. I'm sure that he will be able to drive this for a week and give you more information on acceleration, on fuel economy, and definitely his thoughts on the new updated 8-speed automatic transmission that's going to make a big difference for most of the people who had complaints about the old DCT in this model. Especially offering this refreshed Taos in new colors like this Monterey Blue Pearl, I really think that the Taos stands out in the segment, and Volkswagen's done a great job refreshing it. They sold 60,000 of the models in the current model year. I don't see why they wouldn't continue to do that, if not more, in 2025. I appreciate you guys watching. If you want to keep seeing all the vehicles that we're testing, be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram at Redline_reviews, and as always, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you all in the next video.